Before I can begin this behind-the-scenes look, I first need to say thank you. The Kasparov was a collaborative effort that employed the full might of Studio Ghibletz. So if you were involved in this production in any way, shape, or form, thank you so much. And it was just this awesome opportunity to work alongside you.
Everything. We blended.
There's literally so many things
We blended
happening
eye-glow motions with like hand keyframe, like walking upside down, with frame-by-frame animation, with crazy compositing, with rain, everything.
A big thing that we've been trying to do is, it's really easy to get to 80%, 90%, 80, 85%, like that. It's getting to 95%, 100% is where things get extremely, extremely difficult.
For these short films, every second needs to be
mean
packed
something
with at least an hour full of meaning.
Now, in 1996, chess grandmaster Garry Kasparov faced off against Deep Blue, an IBM supercomputer. While Garry Kasparov reigned victorious in that 1996 match, it would mark the last time that a human ever beat a computer at chess, because in his 1997 rematch, Deep Blue was victorious. So we titled our submission to Kasparov because I hear the echoes of that 1996 chess match today. With the rise of generative AI, I believe 2023 might be the last time that flesh and blood animators stand on equal footing with computer-generated animation. So we designed the Kasparov as one last push against the machines, just like Garry Kasparov's match in 1996.
I just aimed the spotlights and then did a frame-by-frame animation.
As with every other Studio Ghibletz project, the Kasparov began as an idea.
Totally capable of not saying bad things.
We started with the story first before we dug into the design or the animation, and we sort of wanted to do something different for Animation at Work 2023. We've always made just really funny, goofy cartoons. We decided this year we wanted to make something serious, something meaningful.
The father takes the boy fishing, and the boy looks, uncomfortable with it.
And of course, we have the same fun and shenanigans that we always have during these story writing meetings. We just record this. Peter, would you put on a shirt for the recording?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we don't want any shirtless delinquents on the street.
No nipples.
We wanted to tell a story that could be true for anyone. We wanted to tell something that would be timeless, which is why we settled on this idea of this father and son who the father has been away at war and he's been gone for so long. The son no longer really remembers him and they have to reconnect. And chess kind of becomes the glue that holds them together. As with many Studio Ghibletz projects, the Kasparov was what you might call an ugly baby. You can see from these early storyboards that we were working with kind of a rough idea, and something that also made the Kasparov different from some of our other projects is we didn't actually have a script for this one. We had a half-complete storyboard that we just went full force on.
And the rest is just, I have no idea what the rest is. I usually just press buttons until it looks good.
After we had a rough idea of where we wanted to take the story, that was when we began the design process. Today I'm here in Dauphin, where 60% of the world's oil paintings and 100% of the backgrounds in the Kasparov were produced. In addition to designing our own custom characters for this, we wanted to do something really cool with the backgrounds. As part of this anti-AI messaging, we wanted to create something that reflected the old ways. So instead of using computer-generated backgrounds or computer-created backgrounds, we went old school.
这个就是说，铅笔起的稿子跟这是一样的，起稿，起完稿以后，就是用这种，这个叫针管笔，就是把这个线再勾一下，强调一下，把主要的东西画清晰一点，然后。就是用，就是中国画的一种手法，就是用那个水墨的，就是上一些单彩，因为它需要的是黑白色的，就是说用单彩比较，看着比较和谐一点，颜色就是很统一，有主有次，你看它上面是有深颜色的，有浅颜色的，还有白色的，就是黑白灰，都出现了。
After these paintings were complete, they were scanned and then brought into Cartoon Animator 5 for animation. The Kasparov used over 50 Cartoon Animator 5 files that we then compiled together during compositing. So I can't go through all 50 files, so I just selected a couple that I thought really represented some of the techniques we used throughout. So this first shot, for example, the opening shot with the school, this one is very special because this looks like it was done in something like Blender. It looks like it is a 3D object, but this is actually just a trick of the eye. And you can see here in this file that the way this school is designed, it's designed in pieces so that as the school kind of compresses, these roof tiles go down, and that gives the illusion that the camera is moving. So in this shot, in the original shot, in the composited version, the camera does move, but in this original shot, the camera does not actually move. These items are moving around the camera to create the illusion that the camera is not just moving through Z-space, that the camera is actually changing angles. And this was not the only place where we employed techniques that gave our stuff a 3D look. So another shot that I think is really interesting is in this first scene where the kid hits this rook and it flies towards the camera and it actually spirals through the air. And the way we did this was I had a 3D rook off of Auto and I captured it from different angles, and then I used these different angles, I made them into sprites, and that's how that rook is turning head over heels. And we use this anytime you see a chess piece that is moving in 3D space, that's changing perspective, like when the kid knocks the king over, or when he kind of tosses the chess piece at the end of the short, we were using this same technique. Something I became obsessed with during production was I wanted our characters to interact with Z-space. So in Cartoon Animator 5, it's very easy to move a character towards the camera. I can move all of myself towards the camera very easily. But what is trickier in Cartoon Animator is to do something like this. If I reach toward the lens, I adjust it. That's very hard. It's very hard to move just one part of the character forward, like if they want to reach forward. That's something that bone structures are not really designed for. So what we wanted to do, we really wanted to incorporate that Z-space manipulation. And the way we did that was we designed these characters not with bone structures, but these characters are actually just separate pieces, and each piece is being manipulated separately. The arm is changing perspective. It's getting shorter, it's getting longer to show that the hand is getting further away from or closer to the camera. And in addition to that, it is morphing with the freeform deformation tool. It's how we're getting that foreshortening effect. And the end result is that the father, while the father is back here, he is able to reach his hand into Z space to push the chess piece forward. So we use this in a couple of places. You see this again here where the mother is pulling the tray out of the oven. Again, this character here is just composed of just a couple random different pieces that are moving in unison. Now, we did use bone structures in several places, of course. So for example, where the kid is running across the screen, that is a bone actor, or where the mom is putting on her oven mitts here, that is also another bone actor. But we combined bone actors with these freeform deformation actors with hand-drawn animation. So we wanted this seamless combination of all these different techniques. And the shot that I think best represents this is this. So in this shot, you see on full display all of the different techniques we used in the Kasparov. So for example, the father and the son, those are two bone actors. The father is kneeling, the son is running. Then behind them, you have a couple that are embracing. That is hand-drawn animation that we have integrated with these bone actors. And then last, in the very, very back, you'll notice that Jeep. And that Jeep is just like what I did with the father or what we did with the mother, where we're deforming different parts. We're deforming the back end of that Jeep. So it gives the illusion that that Jeep, as the camera is panning, that Jeep is changing perspective to match.
And go. Perfect.
Ultimately, what we wanted to do was we wanted to incorporate multiple animation techniques in a way that was seamless. So a lot of these shots, for example, this mother where she's out in the rain, this shot is incorporating hand-drawn animation and freeform deformation. So it's incorporating both things that we drew in frames and then we brought in as sprites. And it's also, so the dress and the hair where they kind of do like this in the wind, that is freeform deformation, whereas the whoosh, kind of whooshy thing at the bottom, that is hand-drawn. Another example of where we did this is any of the shots where the kid is reaching towards the camera, the hand is moving forward in using the, just moving it forward in Z space, but at the same time, there are hand-drawn frames there that give you the, where it opens. So you might have noticed that those Cartoon Animator files that I just showed you look a little bit different from the final version that we submitted for the contest. And that's because we took an extra step. After we finished the animation, we composited. And we did the compositing in After Effects.
So when you're doing your lighting setup, you can, number one, the first thing you do is you get everything set up. You get your camera, aperture set, you get your depth of field set, so that you can go through and you can put things in proper placement in 3D space. Then next, you can either light your subjects and then light the surroundings, or you can light the surroundings and then light the subjects.
And here is where we added all of these fine-tuning details. Things like adding blur to the background, adding rain, adding lightning, and just even these tiny little details. Like if you look in this kitchen, you see these two lights in the background that just complete the scene so beautifully. It was in compositing that we add these details that you do not consciously notice. It's when you just see a scene and you go, that feels right. And we put so much work into just making these things. We put so much work into making things that people don't notice. And that's the point. When you create these high production value animations, you're putting in all of this work, you're adding all of these details that nobody will ever notice. And that's a good thing. That means you did it right. If nobody notices that the lighting in this shot is perfect, that's because it is perfect. Because people don't notice perfect animation, or people don't notice high quality animation. They just know that it feels right. And if you can create something that feels right, you've succeeded. And then last, to tie this all together, Rick composed music for this short.
I had to get that vibe of that same push-pull without it being a competition. It's that core emotion that gets transferred.
The music is not just there. The music is part of the story. It is building up the story, just like everything in this short. Every piece is going into the story. It's all moving in the same direction to create something that, as I mentioned earlier, feels right.
I tuned all of the sound effects so that they fit in the world to be in that key.
And it's because of all these little details. These little details are cumulative. They all start to add up eventually to create what I would call more than a sum of their parts. My hope with this behind the scenes look is you'll see not only the work that went into this, because this is only a short little 2.5 minute thing. Months went into this. Hundreds of hours by different people went into producing this cartoon. To do something like this, to do it the right way, is a massive endeavor. And I hope that I was able to show this in this behind the scene video, all these different parts that are working together, that have to move in unison and that have to fit together just right. And the things that people will never notice because you don't want them to notice. You want it just to feel right. Thanks so much for watching the Kasparov. I hope that you will like and comment on both videos because, while it doesn't really affect the judging or the contest, I would also love to do well in the court of public opinion in addition to doing well in the judging. So once again, thank you so much for watching, and thank you for supporting Studio Ghibletz by liking and commenting and sharing this video with your friends. Thanks so much again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.